Quite a bit of an undertaking with the project. There are three separate episodes. Starting from the very beginning, how difficult or was it difficult at all to determine what the three acts would be for a series like this?
Yeah, I was resistant at first to make anything that was going to be historical. Um, and at the beginning, in all the treatments that I wrote, I wanted it to be a contemporary story. But then I realized, like any story, any human story, we have to go backwards in order to understand what happened and then come forward again. But what I wanted to do was to start the story in a contemporary setting. I wanted to find a moment where it was like a pivotal moment where we could use that as an anchor to say, okay, this is going on at the moment, but why? And how did we get here? And it was just, Moonlight was just, winning the best film at the Oscars was the perfect moment, because it was a film that wasn't to do with slavery. It wasn't to do with the oppression of black people. It was just a coming of age story of a young gay black man. And that was like so unusual to win or even be nominated as a film at the Oscars. So for me, it was a pivotal moment to start at that point and then to use that as a jumping off point to go backwards.
With jumping off of that point, not to spend too much kind of belaboring the point, with how the award announcement happened and the mistake at the stands, do you have any strong thoughts of how that occurred? Human error, computer error?
I just think that La La Land at the time, okay, was a runaway. I mean, everyone was talking about it. It was like, it was almost preordained to win the best film. So when the mistake was made, people just didn't accept that there was a mistake. They thought that what they were doing was correct because in their minds that's what seemed to have been preordained. But it was an ironic moment that a black film wins best film and still didn't get its moment in the sun. And again that moment, I think black filmmakers or black people in general, and I'm sure it's not an oversimplification or a generalization to say this, black people in general, when they reach a moment of success, they never seem to be able to enjoy that success because we're always looking over our shoulder and always wondering when someone's going to pull the rug out from underneath our success. And that's exactly what happened with the Moonlight debacle. The rug was pulled out from underneath them.
On a side note, just to piggyback on that, I was having a discussion with someone recently about expressing black pride in the United States. Oh, that's okay. When other ethnicities, Bastille Day and St. Patrick's Day and Mexican Independence Day, it seems to really truly be celebrated in this country that people, show pride in their ethnicity. Yet when black people express black pride, there's still that stigma like you're not being inclusive. It sounds a little bit racist. Do you think that we're at a point now where we can genuinely express our black pride without the perception from other ethnicities that we're being separatist? Because for other ethnicities, it's not interpreted that way.
Yeah, I mean, other people are allowed to do what they want. Other people can have their, like you said, they can celebrate their ethnicity, they can celebrate their culture. But every time we seem to do the same, we get, it's like, oh, what are they doing? Yeah, we're never allowed to have anything.
You're right.
We're not. I mean, even this is Black History Month here in the States. Yeah, it's the shortest month in the entire calendar. It's 28 days, and if we're lucky, sometimes we get an extra day for good measure.
Yeah.
Every 4 years. Yeah. But we're not allowed to even to enjoy that. Now people are saying you have Black History Month. It should be. We should be allowed to celebrate our culture within Black History Month as well. So it seems like we're never allowed to celebrate our blackness. It's like to celebrate blackness is deemed to be threatening, and it shouldn't be. It's one of the reasons I became a filmmaker is because when I was a child, I used to like watching westerns with my father. and we used to, watch John Wayne and all these people shooting it up. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to watch these anymore. And my dad was like, why? It's like, this is a thing. Let's sit down and watch it. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And he said to me, why? Why don't you want to watch this anymore? And I said, because the Indians are us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The narrative has been, the narrative that has been portrayed and perpetrated within the art form of cinema and across the creative media have been that we are bad. Everything black is not good. Yeah, unless it's Black Friday, of course. Yeah.
Exactly.
But everything black is not good. Yeah, and the way that that film has portrayed us, they've constantly taken us on this journey where instead of being the victims, which we have been, people have been kidnapped from Africa and brought into slavery, taken to the Americas, to Brazil, to the Caribbean, yeah, and put into servitude. And the most heinous acts of violence have been perpetrated against black bodies. But yet we are portrayed as being violent.
And savages.
And savages, yeah. But who are the true violent ones?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so basically I think it's incumbent on us to tell stories, and I find it's incumbent on me to tell stories which change perception. Yeah, show the true meaning of story, show the true meaning of history, show the true lineage of where that story came from. Not in a way that makes it separatist of black people, but in a way that uplifts us, that we can celebrate our blackness, we can celebrate our achievements, we can celebrate, our, how exceptional we have to be in order to get a little bit of credit and a little bit of acknowledgement for the things that we do. But at the same time, in doing that, what we're really showing is that that how we arrive at being successful is not just to celebrate our success, but it's to celebrate all of our successes as human beings, because it's about moving culture forward, and that's really important.
To piggyback alongside with that, so now we're in an era where you're seeing increased black filmmakers having opportunities to present our stories to the world. And we look back over the history of Hollywood for the good, the bad, tons of terrible movies, tons of great movies. We have more filmmakers now who create more projects, some better than others. Are we allowed to have that sort of learning curve where, this movie might not be as well accepted as this particular film, but it's almost like an indictment, like, see, we should have never let you guys have all these movies. Can we have that learning curve?
No, in a word. I think that we are always looked upon as we're giving you a chance, yeah. So don't mess it up, yeah. So we're not allowed to make mistakes, whereas white filmmakers can make up-teen mistakes. Yeah, they can make up-teen bad films, and they will always get hired to make more films. It's like in the UK with soccer managers. A soccer manager can be unsuccessful at club after club after club, but they continue to be hired. But black managers are never hired, and it's the same in film. It is across the board the way that we are looked upon in terms of the margins that we have to play with in order to be successful. They're always very small.
One thing I like that is being touched upon in the series is the fact that black stories have been told from the white lens, and now we have the ability to tell our stories. Probably one of the most famous examples is The Color Purple. Where do those films fit into the landscape? They're very revered films it's a very revered film based on Alice Walker's book. Where does that fit into the landscape of black filmography since it's told from the white lens? Does it continue to be at the top? Where do you place films like that? Not just, attacking that one, but films like it.
I'm gonna answer that based on the interview that I did with Taylor Hackford, who directed Ray, Ray Charles story. And it was really interesting because Taylor was like, look, I was really interested in doing a story of Ray Charles because I revered the man. I thought the man was brilliant. But I had to have black writers. I had to have, because I didn't understand the language. Yeah? Now, he could be a great director in terms of directing those people, but he needed to have people around him who understood the language. And I think Spielberg did the same with The Color Purple. Yeah? I think those are really important films within the black canon. And the fact that they were directed by white directors, I don't think, in my humble opinion, people, this is just my opinion. And my opinions don't mean that I'm speaking for all black people. I'm only speaking for myself. Yeah? But in my opinion, I think that those films have been very, very important. And, they would not have been made if those directors didn't make them. Yeah, we would never have seen those films. They wouldn't be, they wouldn't exist.
When we look at going back historically and like the series starts with the legends and kind of the evolution of where we come from. When they look at filmography now, what do you think their impression is of black films now and being able to have that opportunity to have black people lead the helm?
Not speaking for them, but having spent probably about a total of about 12 hours in total time with those legends in terms of the time that we spoke, I learned a hell of a lot from them. Yeah? And one of the things that I learned from them was that they really do believe that progress has been made. I think they really believe that. I think that in the case of definitely Harry Belafonte and Earl Cameron, who is a centurion now and still very much active and still wants to work, I think that they feel that we could still be more active in our activism, because not much has changed in terms of, a lot has changed, but still not a lot has changed in terms of where they see the business and where they see black people within the business.
Recently, and yesterday I was at doing press for The Photograph, which is led by a black female director and written by the same woman. With the rise of women, with Lena and Melina and Stella, and all these wonderfully talented women who are, and of course Ava, of course.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, come on. With women at the helm, is it up to black women? There's always the joke that black women got to do it all. Black women have to blaze the trail for everybody else. Is it still that way? Is the black film industry now dominated by black filmmakers? Because before you had the John Singletons and all of those directors, rest in peace. Is that landscape now solely black female? Do we see that black male directors are taking a step back to?
You're asking some great questions today. You're on form.
Oh,
I tell
thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is one of the best interviews I've done so far.
Oh, thank you.
That's a great question. I am in awe of our black sisters in film, because I think that there is really a revolution in the evolution of black people in cinema. And I think that revolution is definitely being led by black women. I think that the innovation in terms of storytelling, types of stories that are being made, I think the innovation in terms of pushing the industry forward and creating stuff like this. I mean, we're sitting at Array, which is owned and run by Ava DuVernay. Most of the staff here are female. They signed me as a filmmaker from Britain. I mean, it's like to be plucked from the other side of the pond, and introduced to the market here in the United States by someone like Ava DuVernay is like, it's a blessing, but that's revolutionary in this industry for that to happen. and to have Array distribute my work. You know, if that didn't happen, then probably the world would never have seen this series, and that would have been a crying shame. You know, a lot of the distribution companies, the major distribution companies, turned around and said that a series like this, and I quote, "You'll laugh at this, a series like this cannot be distributed worldwide because there are too many American and British stars in it to work on a worldwide basis." Now, there's an elephant in the...
Like every other Marvel movie or every other big budget movie.
There's an elephant in the room, and they forgot to use the word black. Yeah? So I injected the word black in there for them because the sentence makes no sense without the word. Yeah, but that meant that they were unwilling to even try to distribute this. You know? And without an organization like Array, as I said, run by women, innovating the industry, then we would never have been able to see it. Yeah.
And one question, because I could talk to you for a few hours.
Thank you.
So, lastly, since this is an area that's examined in the series, the Black British invasion, that's been a topic of much discussion.
I don't know why people keep asking me this question.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know why. Why could it be? Right. Okay.
My own humble opinion, I didn't see it. I don't see an issue with British actors assuming this role. It's quite impressive just to hear them go through the process of turning their own natural speaking tenor off to portray these roles. What is going on in Britain that's just producing just such immense talent? Is there a farm there where all these talented Christina Revo and Idris, of course. I mean, there's so many that are coming from Britain. What's happening in Britain that's allowing these opportunities to happen?
I'm going to tell you what is happening in Britain, which is creating so much talent, which is arriving at the doorsteps of America. Yeah, famine. They're hungry. There is no work for them in Britain. Yeah, so they're hungry to work. So basically, when they arrive in America, they arrive here with nothing. A lot of people, they bank on, they're taking a gamble to come to America because it's not easy. There's not an open door policy where they arrive here and people go, great, come and work. Yeah, they have to do the work. They have to be good. Yeah, but fear of failure, yeah, fear of not coming here and for it to go wrong and to go back home and still have nothing. Yeah, that means that when they come here, they're bringing their A+ game. And I hear, a lot of Black American actors or African American actors and actresses saying, it's not fair. And it's like they have their, maybe they are getting preferential treatment. And I asked the question, how many black people can say that another black person has ever been given preferential treatment? Doesn't make any sense to me, But I think that what is happening is that they are creating competition in the marketplace, and everyone is raising their game. So across the board, we are seeing performances by Black Brits, by African Americans, yeah, which are sensational and exceptional. Yeah? And that means that, what's happening with the Oscars here and what's happening with BAFTAs in England, yeah, those organizations, they're really becoming blind and myopic by continually just keep choosing the same people from the same club and the same pool and exercising their own bias. Yeah. Now, life is not a meritocracy. Okay, it's like, but at the same time, white people are saying that in order for these black people to have a voice, they must be picked on merit. My thing is that they are exceptional, and when you see exceptional performances taking place, and then alongside that you see an average, or something which really does not even match the level of the black performer, then that's when people look at it and they say, well, that's actually not fair. Yeah. So it's not that people want equality. I don't think that's what people want. But what people want is the respect for the craft, respect my craft. And I think that the Black British invasion, as I call it, is actually raising the bar for everyone.
Absolutely.